Welcome back to the Star Monroe Show. This is episode 6 of The Wild Love Affair, 12 intimate conversations on coming home to who you really are through embodiment, devotional living, and deeper intimacy. Last week, we talked about what alignment really looks like. No, it's not that polished morning routine, the habit stacking, or an aesthetic look, which is where I think it's got lost in translation on social media. Alignment is something way deeper. It's the art of staying with yourself, especially when all parts of you want to run, numb, or exit. It's staying with yourself through the peaks and valleys of choosing yourself. I normally say ebbs and flows, but I saw peaks and valleys in it. I've been reading a couple of books and I saw it there twice. And I was like, I've got to use that. Staying with yourself, it's about you upholding your standards, of keeping the promises you make to yourself and staying with yourself when you've kept them and when you don't keep them, instead of dropping into a spiral of despair because your shame and your self-berating has been spiked up. Alignment is being with yourself, having your own back. It's commending yourself, it's celebrating yourself, it's honoring yourself over and over again. Which brings me on to today. Over the weekend, I was reflecting on my own process, which I documented in my Wild Love Affair, my latest book, available on Amazon, where I am now, and the body of work that I've created over these many years that guides you back to who you really are. And there was one thing, I think it's on page 68. Yes, it's in the chapter of reclamation, and I'm going to read it to you because this is what struck me. I'm going to read the whole paragraph, but it's the first line. When I look back now, I see it clearly. I wasn't layering new habits over old wounds. That thread, just hold on to that thread because we're going to unpick this some more today. I wasn't trying to be someone else. I was reclaiming the woman I had always been, the one buried beneath the conditioning of surviving, of performing my worth, of all that generational lineage that wasn't mine in the first place. I was meeting myself with reverence. And as I said, not just when it was easy, but when it was inconvenient, uncomfortable, and unseen. And this is where the real reclamation of who we are lives. Not in the moments we feel triumphant, but in the moments you choose to stay with yourself fully and fiercely. This is what it's all about, returning to the truth of who you've always been and living from that place even before the world recognizes or claps for it. You become this version of you by refusing to leave yourself in the small daily moments when it would be easier to slip back into survival. You become her by honoring your own enoughness before anyone else does. This is important, this part as well. There's no shortcut for this. No checklist, no to-do, no retreat, no polished plan. This is built through intentional action, consistency, and devotion inside the sacred, ordinary rhythm of your real life. When I was reflecting this weekend, I'm like, God, my work just keeps compounding. It just keeps on rooting deeper and deeper and deeper inside me. So when I sat with this weekend and looked where I am today, and also reflected on the work that I have done with women in private therapy, coaching, mentorship, programs over the years, there is one truth. Because I'm like, there's something I'm not telling you yet. There's one truth that keeps rising. There's one thing that we must talk about before we go any further in this series. This return to yourself. It requires one thing. And if you're not willing to do this, nothing's going to work. I've got evidence of that too. There's one thing that you've got to be willing to do. And this is, I'm jumping the gun here, but this is where my work is leading. This is where my body of work is going. You've got to be willing to slow down. You've got to be willing to extract yourself from society's addiction to false urgency. You'll see it everywhere around you. We've all been conditioned to rush, to cram our days full. Just on that, when I was living in England and I used to go to networking meetings, oh my God, I hated them. But one of the sayings they would say to me over and over again is, "Are you busy?" I'll be like, no. And then we're like, didn't know what to say. Everyone is so hooked on being busy. You've learned, I've learned that our worthiness is tied to how productive we are, how much we will get done. And especially as women, like we're forever being the caretakers, the nurturers, the ones who fix everything. This addiction to doing it all, to this pseudo false sense of urgency, sits under everything. It sits under your disconnection, the reasons why you self-abandon, your constant search for a new habit, a new plan, a new way to fix that internal ache. We're going to springboard off from this, actually. When I went to the States back in May this year, and I booked it a while back, and I booked a long trip, like a month being in the States. And I really didn't have anything to do because I'd taken time off work and I was on my sabbatical. And life is completely different in the States to Turkey. Turkey is really simple. And I've always said one of the reasons why I moved here was so I could be more me. But also the paradox is moving to Turkey, I also lost myself as well in the false sense of urgency. So I'm like, oh, it doesn't really matter where I put myself. So comparing America to Turkey, very simple, don't have a lot of choice when you go grocery shopping, when you go shopping. There's no malls where I live. I live in the country surrounded by goats and sheep and cows and chickens and cats everywhere. And then when I go to America, there's so much choice. And I watched myself this time. I got really consumed with all the choice, and the food as well. I was just like, oh my God, I could buy this and buy this. And so I found my practices, my routines were, I wasn't maintaining them as well because I was getting lost in the choice. And so when I got on the plane to come back to Turkey, I sat on the plane and we were sitting on the tarmac ready to fly off. And I was like, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to find loads of wellness women on Instagram to follow and to cleanse my system out. And like I followed like 20 different women, and then I got back into Turkey and I forgot all about that. And I was just like, but there was this persistent voice in my head when I came back to Turkey. It's like, oh my God, your body isn't feeling right. You're out of your rhythm. You're out of your routine. You're just really, you feel disconnected, right? We need to, and it was like this voice was like, you need to do this. You need to do this. You need to do this. And then I remembered pick my phone up and I was like, oh my God, I'm following all these women and they're plowing all their ideas at me. And I was like, wait, what do you need to do? I was like, oh yeah. I need to divest. I need to clear out all those women I followed, so I unfollowed them all. I was like, you don't need to do anything different. All you need to do is follow your Rhythm. Follow your rhythm, tune back into your body. Trust that you know what is right for you. Listen to these words. Think for a moment, if you lived like this, how your life would be different. I follow my own rhythm. I trust my body. I trust I know what is right for me. And that's exactly what I did. And that is not the quick fix. That is a slow path. That's a slow path back to you, but it is a sustainable path. It is a path that is true to you. And what you're doing is you're waking up your wisdom and you're actioning that wisdom. And in that actioning, in that listening to yourself, you build that trust bond. You build that rhythm with yourself. This is what I'm here to guide you into. You see, if I springboard back to where I was, you're that constant search for a new habit, a new plan, a new way to fix yourself. You don't need fixing, you just need to return to yourself. You will stay hooked into this pace, this fastness that will keep you disconnected from your body, your rhythm, your wisdom. And you know what else this does? I just recorded a few TikToks talking about this. This disconnection from you, it keeps you obedient, keeps you docile. It keeps you easily manipulated by our patriarchal capitalistic society that profits off your distraction, your inability to sit in discomfort with yourself. That inability that you do not have, you cannot sit with in discomfort with yourself. You are going to be a magpie. Is that the right saying? For all these shiny things out there. You're going to be hooked on every quick fix. Every time you go into a store, you're going to see the next skincare, the next hair care, the next makeup. Nothing is enough. When you're rushing, when you're going at the pace of the world and not your rhythm, you cannot feel yourself. You will not be able to think clearly. And everything, in the end, feels insurmountable. And so this is why you reach for a fix, a program, a plan, anything to give you that short-term dopamine hit. But it's not a sustainable way to live. The antidote to this is slowing down. You've got to start questioning your addiction to stress, to false urgency, to you living in your head, trying to figure everything out. And I'm sure this is by Martin Shaw, but I could be wrong. There was a poem he wrote, and I'm not going to be able to remember all of it, but he was like, under the motorway, there was a road. Under the road, there was a cobbled street. Under the cobbled street, there was a path. Under the path, there was dirt. Under the dirt, there was hoof prints. And what he's saying is, choose the hoof prints. Choose the slow route. Stop choosing the motorway, the freeway. You must know by now that way doesn't get you anywhere. It just burns you out. It burns you out. Choose the path. Choose the hoof prints. Here's the other thing as well. See this time and time again. I didn't know this either when I was addicted to stress and cortisol. You don't even know you're addicted to it because it's so normalized. But your body knows. Your body braces. It's ready. It's in that fight, flight, fawn, freeze, flap. Any moment of any day, you're in reaction mode. It's that tension in your jaw. It's the quiet heart palpitations. It's the nervous tick around your eye. It's the sleep that doesn't restore you. It's your to-do list that never ends. You must be willing to see the undercurrent that runs through your life. Are you moving through life at your own rhythm? Or are you plugged into the mains of a system that runs on urgency and you're not trusting yourself? I'm like, can we take this is really good. I wrote that. So good. This slowing down, there's a quote here by Viktor Frankl: between stimulus and response, there's a space. We want to reside in the space. This is how I'm changing everything in my life. My relationship with myself, with my body, with how my wellness, my health, my relationship with my son, my relationship with my family. Everything comes from you creating more space. And when I look at the clients who truly and deeply changed their life, it was never because they added more. At the beginning, that's what they wanted to do. Oh, you're telling me this, I'm going to do more. And so we have to work through this whole process of like, yes, it's not a concept. It's like, this is how our brains take it. Oh, well, I just need to do this, a morning routine or an evening routine and check it off my to-do list. And it's like, no, this becomes your way of life. And so it's always this integration, this learning, this to and fro with learning new skills, learning a new way of being with yourself. It was never because they added more, it's because they simplified, they divested, they were willing to slow down. And the women who struggled, and there were many women that struggled, they were the ones who tried to layer my work over the same chaotic pace that they came into sessions with. And the ones who were willing to unwind themselves from that were willing to slow down, and not slow down as another to-do list. Oh, I slowed down today. Do I get my goodies? No, it's really noticing that pace that you're living with day in, day out in the micro moments. You can't change your patterns if you do not change your pace. You will not be able to unbind them. Remember I can't remember which episode, I talked about the red ball of wool. You cannot unbind yourself from anything if you do not slow down. You'll stay in your head. You'll try to think your way into a new life. You'll keep intellectualizing everything I share instead of feeling it. And you'll keep searching for that endless fix instead of surrendering to the moment. There's an invitation here to look at life, look at yourself through a different lens, to trust, to lean back, the art of leaning back, to stop meddling with your own becoming. And I was thinking, I was sitting this morning, there's a reason why I always wake up. There's a reason why I will always do morning pages and read, pull, throw the 3 pennies, choose the I Ching number that corresponds to the pennies, and then the corresponding Gene Keys number. There's a reason why I do it. Because it reminds me to start my day off slow, to start my day off present, to start my day off connected. The I Ching and the Gene Keys also are always calling me further into a more mature way of living. A way of living that's aligned with my soul and not my ego. They're reminders. We have to stop meddling with our own becoming. And even I was sitting there, I think it was this morning or yesterday, and I was like, why isn't things happening faster? And I was like, they're not meant to. This period, this stage, this season of your life, this is going to unfold in its own sweet time. And every time I go out into the garden, I'm watching the palm trees, and I can start seeing like the date palm trees. So I can start seeing the dates being formed on them. I start to see the lemons growing on the lemon tree. I can't rush that. I can't rush nature. And so as you become more attuned to your rhythm, you'll come more attuned to nature, and nature has its seasons. You cannot rush. Coming back to deeper intimacy. Intimacy is built on trust. It's built on honesty. You want deeper intimacy with the ones you love. You want to be seen, heard, validated for who you are. You've got to learn to trust yourself, and you've got to learn to trust life. And that begins by slowing down enough to feel what's true, what's arising for you in this very moment. And from there, that willingness to slow down and see your current rhythm with curiosity and compassion, you can begin to lead yourself differently with refinement. I'll come back to that in a minute. With your truth, with depth. And this is where, and I couldn't see this at the beginning of me starting this series. I didn't have this. This is why you're watching this unfold in real time. I knew where we were going, but I wasn't sure how we was going to get there. I'm really doing this in action in real time. This is where my body of work takes us now. Takes us into refined self-leadership. This is the art of curating a deeper relationship with the most important person in the world. That's you. It's a way of living. It shows up in how you speak to yourself when no one's listening, how you get out of bed, how you brush your teeth, and how you plate your food, in how you look at yourself in the mirror and what you say, in how you dress, in how you move, how you hydrate yourself. It's in the tiny movements, the tiny moments you choose to be loyal to the woman you are and not the one you think you should be. This is the quiet rebellion against false urgency. This is the reclamation of your rhythm. This is the heart of my work, slowing down, living from devotion, and creating a more sensual, I'm going to be talking about more about that in a couple of episodes' time, sensual, autonomous way of being. As we saunter, I always like to saunter into August, we'll be diving deeper into this together, and I'm going to be sharing more little snippets on TikTok and Instagram. And if you're ready to live this, to become the woman who no longer abandons herself in the name of survival, stress, keeping up with the Joneses, living in your head, the School of Devotional Living begins this September. Join the waitlist. Everything is in the show notes. And of course, if you haven't read my latest book, My Wild Love Affair, this is the perfect time, because this next chapter of your life isn't about becoming someone new. It's not about another reinvention. It's about remembering who you've always been. In devotion.